Hello, welcome. Welcome to Vamos. Welcome to the little park of Vamos, 5 minutes from my house in Crete. And I just came here, I had a coffee, and I felt like sitting. And something that's been coming in the past few days that I've been noticing in myself in the past few weeks, but also seeing in clients coming up in sessions, is that it really feels like right now a lot of us have been feeling very disconnected more than ever. That separation between the mind and between the body in a way has become or is becoming more intense, more obvious, let's say, and more painful when we notice it. I know for myself, I've been really feeling like kind of stuck here, a lot of tension in my shoulders, in my throat, in my heart, and it's only when I really remembered to come back into the body time and time again that I can kind of hold this and this starts to move. And I've seen this in sessions, I've seen this in clients in the past few weeks as well. And there's personal, collective reasons for this. I won't go into that, but one of the things that we're experiencing as a collective is that we're living more and more in these virtual boxes, especially as coaches, healers, creatives, perhaps meetings, sessions. A lot of it is happening here in this kind of square, and so it does feel like we don't get to see each other from below the torso. It's very rare for us to connect as a full body, as a full being. That has an impact on how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive each other and how much we feel connected. But also, a lot of the work that we have to do to survive, some of it is very much rooted in, let's call it the practical side, and that's super important, of course. I've had to really learn to be practical and not to be too airy-fairy and woo, but be here and now and grounded in order to make things move and happen, but also to look after my responsibilities towards myself, my money, my lover, my house, my family, etc. What we see in our society is that a lot of our structures from politics, government to business, is all based on what I want to call the Newtonian Bubble. Now, bear with me, I'll explain this a little bit. Newtonian Biology, Newtonian Physics is 300 years old, and it's that model that 99% of the world is matter, and there's a bit of energy floating around, but it's invisible. So we don't really talk about it or study it. Now, of course, we know that this was completely turned on its head just over 100 years ago with quantum science, which actually shows that the opposite is true. That 99.999% of the world of the universe is energy and consciousness, and that matter is a very small portion of that actually coming in and out of existence depending on what is observed. Now, the thing is, a lot of our structures in our society are based on a Newtonian understanding of the world. And so they're very practical. They're very much based on numbers and spreadsheets and boxes to tick and checklists. And there's this disconnection from reality, disconnection from our energetic nature, disconnection from our bodies even, disconnection from nature, disconnection from the world that we live in, and of course from each other. And so when we're living from that Newtonian bubble, and it lives in all of us, but when we're living from that Newtonian bubble, we are completely disconnected from reality because we're operating in an illusion of a box of matter, of a very limited aspect of ourselves that doesn't really exist. And there's a part of us that knows and senses that there's more, far more to us. There's so much more potential to us waiting to be released, but we struggle to tap into it. And so, as I connect these dots to what's been happening for a lot of us over the past few weeks, months, perhaps even beyond, is that we have the possibility right now to really observe how this limitation, how this Newtonian bubble lives in us. And often it does come, it is here and here and here, kind of separate from reality and the body and our intuition and our energy and our extrasensorial senses, our ability to perceive the world, the invisible realms. Very disconnected from that. So this is super important to understand. It's super important for us to also observe how this lives in us, because it lives in us, it lives in our society, it lives in the collective. And this is creating a lot of dissonance, of disembodiment, of course, disconnection for people. And what we're seeing right now as well through the current events is that there's the whole story around our society, our medicine, the way we look after ourselves, the way we interact is all based on Newtonian biology and Newtonian physics. And that anything that is outside of that box is being really demonized and being pushed to the side. And so we're in this interesting phase when what's happening inside of us, this knowing that operating from just this space is not right, is not enjoyable, is painful, is icky. You know, when I've been in this, I just felt very much like trapped and in a box. And it is a box. It's a bubble or a box. And we feel that, you know, and we're seeing that how it's also playing out outside of us in the collective. The bubble, this Newtonian bubble, this Newtonian box, has always been kind of put on a pedestal as something for us to glorify, you know, to follow, to lead us. You know, everything else is quack, woo-woo, to be demonized, to be forgotten, and certainly not to be explored scientifically even, or to be explored through our own experience and our own knowing. So that's the invitation for all of us right now. And if you've been feeling this disconnection, that's beautiful. Nothing's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with us when we're in that. You know, that's part of the tapestry of life, the tapestry of, you know, this embodied life of exploring our embodied uniqueness, as well as our drive and our longing for oneness. And all of these bring different layers and different experiences. But if that's been the case for you, great. You know, this is how perhaps this Newtonian bubble illusion lives in you. You know, are there some beliefs, some ways of being and thinking that still deep down, even if they're not conscious, and that's what these things are, they bring things to the surface, they bring things to bring up from the unconscious to our consciousness to make us aware of these things. So perhaps this is the Newtonian way of thinking, where there's still a part in your unconscious that does believe that you're separate, ultimately. That, you know, numbers and spreadsheets and practical and the governmental, the mental level, you know, is to be glorified. A little bracket on this. I'm really seeing, and this is part of this right now, that the governmental level and the human level are just becoming so far more different. And we're seeing that space between the two. At one level it is spreadsheets and what works in theory and what's practical and what's researched, of course, most of it from the Newtonian box of understanding. And then we're seeing the human level, where people are just interacting from the human space. And of course, for a long time, this has been perhaps close, or we've had this illusion that they were interacting. But what we're seeing right now is this disconnection, a heightened sense of disconnection, that these structures do not serve us, that us humans, embodied, alive, gifted humans, don't need this way of being and thinking, especially not to dominate and to govern our lives, but quite the opposite. It needs to be a dance. Yeah, where we're creating structures that support the human and that don't demonize aspects of the human. So it's interesting to say, as we see that separation, that disconnection, we're also perhaps perceiving it in our own bodies. Yeah, the disconnection from our own gut and authority and the mind and this way of thinking and doing. So that's the invitation, okay, to observe this in yourself. And especially if you've been feeling, tight in the shoulders, in the jaw, I'm just going to give you some quick pointers at how you can work with it on a bioenergetic level, let's say. I'll do this with you quickly now. Say you're feeling tension in your jaw. One of the best ways to really go deep into that energy and to release it is actually to exacerbate it. So for example, if you're feeling a bit of tension in your shoulders and jaw, make it stronger, like really squeeze it, and then let it go. And really witness what comes up when you do this. Okay, you do it a few more times, squeezing. You notice your breath might be really squeezed. Notice your mind, your forehead. Notice how you are connected or not to your body as you do this. And then let it go. Feelings might just come in and out, but also awareness, a sense of space, perhaps thoughts, whatever comes is great. Let's do it one more time together. Squeezing the shoulders up, holding, like feeling yourself wanting to disconnect from the body, lift up from the floor, and then let go. Yeah, so I invite you to do that a little bit. Do it a few times, a few more times, and just notice, what comes up, what changes when you do that. That's a really simple way to just start to activate, to energize, and what we call charge that energy actually, so you can get a bit more awareness of it, but also you can help it move. Now, what you might want to do as well is just do some simple movement of the parts that feel really tight. So it could be shoulders, it could be also torso here, it could be massaging the neck, massaging the jaw, massaging the forehead and scalp also, which are getting really tight in many people right now from this disconnection. So have a play with that in your own time. I might record a practice dedicated for this this week. Let me know if that would serve you actually. Let me know if that would be a good idea. And this is just a little bit of information, a little bit of insight, a little bit of guidance on what's been happening perhaps in your body and what we're seeing in the collective, and how you can start to witness it and observe it and move beyond it, move beyond that challenge and get the gift of it, really understand the gift of what's coming up. That's all from me. If you need any support with this, please feel free to book a consultation with myself. Always, you can book them through the divinealignment.be, the website. And we'll just have a chat, see where you're at, and I'll give you some simple pointers and some ideas and some offerings if need be, depending on your needs, depending on your budget, for how you can continue your journey of alignment. But for now, from the beautiful little forest in Vamos, have a beautiful day. Bye.